joining us for today's webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them through the question box. We'll answer as many questions at the end as time allows. If we don't get to your question today, we will follow up with you afterwards. Let's get started. Hosting today is James Jackson, Strategic Channel Relationship Manager, and Dave Mauger, Director of Plan and Fiduciary Operations. Today, they will be providing an overview on the 403B plan document restatement process and what steps you may need to be aware of to help keep your plan compliant. With that, James and Dave, I will now hand things over to you.
Thanks, Lizzie. And thank you all again for giving us the opportunity to get in front of you, as this is going to be an informative webinar for you all. As Lizzie said, I'm James Jackson, Strategic Relationship Manager at Pentegra. Today, I tell you, we have a record number of folks on the call, so we're excited about that. As many of you already know, Gary Mauger has retired from the New Pinnacle Consulting Group, which is a division of Pentegra. You know, together, we're combining our deep expertise of plan administration and support with relationship mindsets first, delivering to you better outcomes for all your employees. Our partnership with each of you is deeply rooted with their approach to service, which means we're not just working together, we're building our best service and products for you all and your employees today. Pentegra's mission speaks to volumes about our commitment. And I want to read something to you, which is about our mission. To provide our clients and partners with expert retirement plan support and administration services, we're serving you with our highest fiduciary standards and care to deliver exceptional plan and participant outcomes through trust, collaboration, and partnership with you all. Now, I'll say that statement is not just a promise that we give to you. It's a promise that we bring clarity, confidence, and care to every step of the way in your retirement journey. And with New Pinnacle as a division of Pentegra by our side, we're better equipped more than ever to fulfill that promise to you. This slide really represents Pentegra as a trusted fiduciary who's been in business for over 80 years, helping clients like you and your team simplify your retirement plan outcomes. We provide oversight, we help you reduce your risk, and ensure you stay compliant. So you can focus on your employees' day-to-day responsibilities and making sure that they retire with dignity. On this slide, you'll see 6 characteristics that Pentegra holds as partners to you. One is being fiduciary first to you. We've already said that we've had decades of experience, which is really vital. So you know when you come to Pentegra that we're here to support you in every way possible. And the most important is we're providing you a high level of expertise through our employees. Pentegra is committed to you, our clients, with over 300 professionals within our organization, bringing deep specialized knowledge and retirement plans. Fiduciary responsibility and compliance is our #1 responsibility to you. Our expertise spans to all plan types and complex plan designs. Next, you will hear from Dave Mauger, who many of you already know, that's going to talk about the 403B restatement process. Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir.
Thanks, James. Hi, everybody. It's great to be with you. As James said, I'm Dave Mauger. I am Director of Plan and Fiduciary Operations here at Pentegra. And my team is focused on nonprofits, and together we work and service about 1,000 plans, most of which are 403B plans. As James mentioned, we come to Pentegra by way of New Pinnacle Consulting Group. We've been with Pentegra now for 3 years. Many of you may have known Gary Mauger, my dad, and Christine Daly founded New Pinnacle. And I am pleased to report that they retired 3 months ago, and all reports are that retirement does live up to the hype. They are loving it and doing great. And really, that is what we are aiming for all of our employees, is a secure and comfortable retirement. And so, and a key part of that is making sure that the retirement plans that we have for organizations are set up the way that we want and are functioning the way that they need to. So today we're going to be talking about a required retirement plan restatement. And so a restatement is really a complete rewriting of that plan document from top to bottom. And what that does is it is designed to take all of the voluntary amendments that you may have made over the past few years. Maybe you changed eligibility rules or clarified the definition of compensation, or maybe you tweaked the employer contributions. It takes all of those amendments, and then plus any mandatory amendments, things that may have changed due to changes in laws, regulatory, other changes that have happened that are required changes to the plan. It rolls them all into one and basically issues a fresh plan document with all of those changes incorporated with it. So really, restatements are required for a number of different reasons. Primarily, it's to keep your plan in compliance with the IRS and Department of Labor rules. These rules do change over time, and by restating your plan document, that ensures that your plan stays up with those. Over the past 5 or 6 years, there have been a number of different laws that have changed, and this will incorporate those. So some of the big ones that will be included in this restatement process are the Secure 1.0 changes, the CARES Act, which dealt with some of the changes in rules around COVID, and also changes to hardship rules, which really bring our 403B plan hardship rules more into alignment with the rules with 401ks. Nearly all of your plan documents now are what are called pre-approved or volume submitter plan documents. What that means is that these documents have been submitted to the IRS. They have reviewed them, and they have issued an opinion or a determination letter that says, yes, this plan document meets all of the rules and regulations that are currently in force. Now, 20 years ago, pretty much every plan document was individually designed. Now, it may have still been kind of a template, but really there was no real program for the IRS to approve 403B plans in mass. So it was either your plan document was either something that was individually drafted by an attorney, or it was something that was kind of a best efforts plan document from various organizations. But now, nearly the entire industry now, and nearly every employer uses one of these pre-approved plan documents, which are streamlined and really make things a lot easier. But one of the requirements of having one of these pre-approved plan documents is that they need to be restated. And the way the IRS does this is on a cycle. So every 6 years, they require that all 403B plans restate their plan document. Now, the first cycle for 403B plans ended in the year 2020. It started about 2017, and there was about a 3-year period there where these new pre-approved documents were being adopted. And time has flown, and here we are 6 years later. And so this new cycle, this new restatement cycle is in play and is now required to restate these plan documents. And the deadline for that is December 31st of 2026. So we have until the end of next year to restate all of these plan documents. All right, and we've got a polling question here, as if you pull that up. Is a plan restatement mandatory if I've recently amended my plan? What do you think?
All right, Dave, it looks like 85% said yes and 15% said no. The poll is going to now be closed.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. As most of you know and have gathered, it is required. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your view, it is mandatory to restate your plan. Even if you've recently made amendments to it, even if you've recently revised and completely restated your plan document, there's a really good chance that you've not revised and restated it on the new Cycle 2 document, and so you'll be required to do that again. All right, so it is mandatory. Pretty much everybody has to do it, and this applies even if you've recently amended or restated it. Now, what happens if you don't restate it? You know, you're already booked for next year. You're already busy. What would happen? Well, this could lead to penalties, costly corrections, and then ultimately, the ultimate threat is plan disqualification, where the IRS disqualifies the retirement plan and removes the tax benefits from it. So certainly don't want to get to that point, but most likely if you don't get it done in time, there are some expensive corrections that would need to be undertaken to get the plan back in compliance. So it is mandatory, and it is strongly encouraged that you get it done by then. But luckily you are not alone. We are here to help you. So if you use a Pentegra plan document, the way that this will work is we will draft your plan onto this new plan document using the current plan provisions that we have in our system. So we will update it and restate it and provide that draft to you. Now we will handle then the delivery of it. We've already filed that with the IRS, the base document. And then we will work with you to review it and make sure that the plan matches your needs and it's still accurate. And then we will also coordinate with your record keeper to make sure that any changes or updates are communicated with them. And then finally, we will provide participant disclosures, and we'll talk about an updated summary plan description here in a minute. Now, if you don't use a Pentegra document, let's say you have a document that's with a record keeper, like a TIA or Fidelity or Empower or Vanguard, if you use their plan document, again, this restatement is still required, and the process will be similar. Instead of Pentegra drafting it, it will be your current document provider. They'll prepare a draft, and then we'll send that to you for your review. Now, it's critical that you review that document and ensure that it is accurate. If you would like Pentegra's help to evaluate that draft and really do kind of a compliance review, then compare that document to your administrative practices, we're happy to do that. Really, these pre-approved plans reduce audit risk, help increase efficiency to make sure that your plan is operating the way that it should be. All right, so in this restatement package, there's actually, when we talk about a plan document, it sounds like it's a single document, but it's actually several different pieces that all together combined serve as really the plan document. The primary one is the adoption agreement. Now that is a detailed document that lists the specific provisions for your plan. That's the one that has a bunch of check boxes and some areas where you maybe have to fill in the blank kind of thing. And that's really where you will determine the eligibility criteria, the employer contributions, and all the different rules that are specific to your plan. But in addition to that adoption agreement, there's also going to be an updated base plan document. That's the one that has its basic boilerplate, and it is the same for all plans that use that same pre-approved document. Now, this is the one that has definitions, references to regulations, and a lot of the mandatory changes that have been through laws that have happened in the last few years. Those will mostly be reflected in this base plan document. But then in addition to that, there are some additional appendices and different schedules and things For example, there might be an appendix that talks about your loan provisions. And so it's a good idea to review those appendices as well to make sure that those are accurate as well. And finally, once you have signed the plan document, you've made any kind of changes, tweaks, adjustments that you've wanted to, a new summary plan description, or SPD, will be generated. And this is kind of for those of you who are old like me, can remember Reader's Digest. This is kind of the Reader's Digest version of your plan document. This really gets into a more reader-friendly version of all the different provisions that are contained in the plan document. It's usually in a question and answer format. For example, when am I eligible to make elective deferrals to my retirement plan? And it'll give you a fairly plain English answer. Now, this SPD is the primary document that will be provided to your employees. So as a result of this restatement, it is required that you provide this SPD to your plan participants. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your role in this process. So the first thing you want to do is start thinking about, are there any kind of changes or updates that you would like to make to your retirement plan? So many of you have retirement plan committees or others that you'll need to kind of bring into this conversation. So it might be good to start having those kind of discussions now. Is there anything that you want to change? The next thing, and let us know if there are those changes you want to make. The next step is that once that draft has been created for you, to carefully review that. And that's something that we are happy to help and offer to help with that as well, to review that draft. Now, there are some key areas to review. And part of this is kind of a good point to bring up who should be involved in your organization in this review process. So this first one, take a look at your definition of compensation. You want those who have oversight over the plan. Sometimes those might be like a CFO or a business manager. But you also want to involve those who are working on this plan on a day-to-day basis. So for example, you might want to involve the people who are running payroll. And when you're looking at the definition of compensation in the plan document, ask those payroll folks, what are the different pay codes that we're using right now? And are those reflected accurately in the plan document? So for example, the plan document might exclude bonuses. Well, you might have 4 or 5 different pay codes that are associated with bonuses. Are all of those coded correctly, and are they all being treated appropriately when we're calculating the retirement plan contributions? So we encourage you to involve the folks in your organizations that are touching the plan on a regular basis to make sure everybody's all on the same page. So some of those key areas, as we talked about, definition of compensation. Are the right types, right pay codes being excluded or included based on the plan document? Eligibility. Many plans have eligibility requirements for the employer contributions. Maybe it's a 1-year wait or a minimum age. But as a reminder, 403B plans cannot have eligibility requirements for employee deferrals. So no minimum age, no waiting period there. Excluded employees is another area where we see sometimes employers are not following what the plan document says. So what's critical is that if there are excluded classes of employees, that you are treating those folks correctly in the actual administration that matches the document. Secure 2.0 has changed this, especially for 403B plans. Many 403B plans have an exclusion for employees who regularly work less than 20 hours per week. You can keep that, that's no problem, but the new Secure 2.0 rules say that anybody who works at least 500 hours for 2 consecutive years must be allowed to make elective deferrals to the plan. So they are not eligible for the employer contributions. Those rules stay the same. So we're happy to talk through some of that. Some employers have chosen just to make everybody eligible for the employee contributions, employee deferrals. Some have decided to keep the 20 hours per week, but then monitor the 500 hours for 2 consecutive years. So we're happy to talk through those, the pros and cons and what works best for your organization. But it's a good time to review the employer contribution formula, make sure that's still accurate. One thing we've seen are more and more plans choosing to just list it as being discretionary. This gives you a little more flexibility in case you need to change it due to budget or other reasons. So happy to talk through what that might look like if you decide to indicate that your employer contribution is discretionary. Vesting is another important area. The vast majority of 403B plans have 100% immediate vesting, but there are more and more plans that are choosing to add a vesting schedule to the employer contributions. And finally, it's a good thing to review kind of the distributions, loans, hardships, when people can take money from the plan. So after you've carefully reviewed the plan and made any changes to it, then what will happen is that you will sign the document. Usually that's done electronically, either through a DocuSign or on another website, and then that will then trigger the creation of the summary plan description. Now we mentioned that there will be a brand new summary plan description that's generated, and it really needs to go to 2 groups of employees. So the first group are all of your current employees who are eligible to participate in the plan. So these folks, whether they're participating or not, if they're eligible to put their own money in or to receive employer contributions, they need to get a copy of that SPD. And then also you need to provide this to anybody who is terminated but still has a balance in the plan. So, and this includes any beneficiaries as well as terminated participants. And we can talk you through how you can provide this SPD to them. You can email it to folks, or you can provide a paper copy. And then ongoing, it's this new SPD that you will provide to new hires as they become eligible for the plan. All right, and then our last polling question. Do you anticipate making plan design changes to your retirement plan as a part of this process? I'll give you a few seconds to answer that.
All right. It looks like 34% said yes and 66% said no. Poll is now closed.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, this is a great time to take a look at the plan as a whole, and yeah, so about a third of you looking to make changes. So that's great. All right. Yeah, some other considerations. As you're reviewing this, you said it is a great time. But have your employees been asking for changes? For example, have they asked about increased access to loans or hardship distributions? A lot of older 403B plans may have offered loans or hardships, but they restricted it to only certain contribution types. For example, just employee contributions. What we're seeing more and more is employers opening that up to including employer sources as well for loans and hardships. So that's something to consider. Some of the latest features too, so for example, Roth in-plan conversions. This allows employees to convert pre-tax contributions into Roth inside of the retirement plan. Now they have to pay taxes on that. And there's not a ton of people who take advantage of that, but especially for your higher earners who might be working with a financial advisor, that's a very popular option. And then one last thing to note here is that the Secure 2.0 amendment will not be included in this Cycle 2 restatement process for 403B plans. However, there is still an amendment for Secure 2.0 that will be going on concurrently and has the same deadline for the end of the year. All right, so next steps. Keep an eye out for emails and updates. keep a lookout for those draft documents. Most of this will start later this year and into early 2026. If you have a Pentegra plan document, again, we will guide you through this process. We will review it with you and make sure, kind of hold your hand through this. But if you don't have a Pentegra plan document, we are still happy to help assist you and can help you with a full plan review if that's something you're interested in. Feel free to contact your relationship manager or your primary Pentegra contact at any time. We're here to help. All right, Lizzie, I think we've got a few minutes here for questions. Do we have any come through?
Perfect. Yes, we had a few. So I'll start out with the first one. I also have a 401k plan. Do I need to restate that plan as well?
Great, yeah. So this cycle is just for 403B plans. 401k plans are on a different schedule for the cycle. Those were restated a few years ago. So if you have a 401k or a 401A plan as well, those are on a different cycle and you're not required to restate at this time. The next question.
Excellent. Do I need an attorney to review my document before I sign?
Okay, this one's a good one. So one of the primary benefits of having these pre-approved plan documents is that an attorney review is not required. Now, there may be a few instances in which you do need an attorney. The primary reason why you would need an attorney to review your plan document before you sign is that your bylaws or internal controls for your organization require a review. Now, this is a legal document. It is legally binding you as the employer to provide the benefits as is stated in the document. So there are some organizations that do require legal review. Most do not, and so it is not a requirement by the IRS or anyone else. Any kind of legal review would be optional depending on your organization. Yeah, next question.
Thanks, Dave. The next one, my 403B plan is frozen. Do I still need to do this?
Okay, some of you might have a frozen plan. If you have a frozen plan, you are still required to update that through this restatement process. That's something that we can discuss with if you're interested in terminating the plan. If the plan has been terminated and all assets have been dispersed from it, then you are not required. But if the plan is just frozen, as long as it's still an active plan, then this restatement is required. Next question.
Terrific. Yeah, we have one more, and I believe we probably have time for only one more. Currently, we use TIAA. Can you better explain how you assist with the restatement process on the Pentegra side?
Yeah, great. Yeah, so if you've got a TIA document, what we can do is once TIA provides that document to you, then what we can do is we can do a plan review with you. So what we'll do is we will take your current document and the new document, and we'll go through and make sure that all of your provisions and all of the amendments that you've had so far have carried over. But then we'll sit down with you and do kind of a compliance review where we discuss in detail each section of the document. So we'll go through the definition of compensation and review it with you, or eligibility requirements, or those different aspects of the plan document. So that's something where we can assist you with a detailed review of not only the document but also your administrative practices and have discussions around that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So that is all the questions we have time for today. So with that, I would just like to thank everyone for your time and for attending today's presentation. In order to better assist you in the future, we request that everyone participate in the brief survey that will pop up on your screen after the conclusion of today's webinar. We do ask that you also keep an eye out for additional webinars we will be hosting in the future to help you stay ahead of the curve. Thank you all again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Have a good day.